So I must have the worst luck ever because Grinding Gear Games decided to release a what we're working on post late last night as I was playing Last Epoch instead of PoE 2's new season. Let's see what they said, and I'm sure it'll fix all the problems, right? Here is the what we're working on post. So this was put out late last night. Let's take a look and see. Many people are reporting that the gameplay is feeling too slow. Oh, surprise, you just caught on to that? It took you long enough. Sometimes this comes in the form of people saying that monster life is too high, or player damage is too low, or areas are taking too long. Boys, it's all three of those things. Let's be real. In this post, we will talk about some of the things we have already done and more of the changes we are planning on making. Good. Let's see. Huntress specific concerns. One of the main concerns that we have seen for the Huntress is that a lot of the power of the class is locked behind the parry mechanic, and some of the players do not wish to parry. Getting frenzy charges without parrying is an option available to the class later on, but there are no other early game options that don't involve parrying. Here's the problem with parrying and why you guys don't understand why people don't want to interact with it. This is a game that is having multiple amounts of enemies swarm you as you are playing. You then parry the enemy in front of you, they get pushed back, you do disengage, you do not get a frenzy charge. That's the problem. You're trying to make an action role-playing game a defensive role-playing game. The only way this works is if you are fighting 1 to 2 mobs at a time as you are playing through the game. If you're going to slow the player down, you have to slow the enemies down or remove and reduce the amount of enemies you're encountering at once. You guys want to be Elden Ring, but you don't know why. So let's keep going. We want to give early game players an option to get frenzy charges without the parry, but we have to be very careful not to make this too easy and remove the rewards for doing the parry combos. You know what the rewards are for doing parry combos? Doing the parry combo. There's no reward for doing it. You know what we get? Oh, the explosive spear is now instant when it always should have been instant. Oh, the ice spear that I throw out, the icicles explode and freeze a little bit faster than the other ones. That's not a reward. Oh, the lightning spear, that changed a little bit now, so that's a lot more fun and more rewarding. No, nothing is increasing the damage. Nothing is making it worthwhile. People are avoiding parrying because it puts players in a situation where they can get heavy stunned, they can get knocked back, they can then get one-tapped and then not have to enjoy the content. Let's see what they have to say though. In order to do this, we are adding a new skill on the second row of the spear skills called Cull the Weak. This skill is effectively the same as killing Palm on the Monk, but for frenzy charges. If a monster is in culling range, using Cull of the Weak will charge towards the monster, kill it instantly, and give you a frenzy charge. This skill should be patched in over the next few days. What needs to happen is very simple. Remove parry. Simply remove it, because you're trying to make the game defensive. The way it should work is like this. You have one skill for setup, one skill to gain the frenzy charge, the other skill to spend it. What you're trying to do is create a generator spender mechanic like Diablo 4. How it needs to be done is like the rogue in World of Warcraft, where you kidney shot and you cheap shot, and then you get the combo points to spend on the Sinister Strike. That's how it should be. That's what you guys aren't getting. You have to be able to combo different skills, and when you do 2 of those skills in succession, you then get your frenzy for that way your third skill can use the frenzy charge to gain more damage. That way, the actual reward for doing the frenzy charge and doing the combo is in fact rewarding, but you still do damage in the first 2 skills. You're not doing any of that. You're doing 0 damage, being defensive, and then getting the frenzy charge to then use a skill to spend it to do also 0 damage. You don't even get your own game, but okay, let's see it. We also want to improve the feeling of parry more greatly. 2 issues we have been identified are that in some cases, it feels like you should parry monsters but don't, and that in other cases you get heavy stunned in cases where you should feel like you shouldn't. We're currently investigating improvements on these. Here's why I don't like parry. I was fighting the gorilla in Act 3 in the jungle. He wasn't doing his attack where he flashes red, has the little bulb over his head saying you cannot block or get out of this attack, you have to dodge it. And every other attack that didn't have that was heavy stunning me. I thought my parry timing was off, so Apparently that wasn't the case. So either way, I would get hit by a normal attack that I should be able to parry, get heavy stunned, be in a heavy stun animation, and then get one-tapped by his other skill and ability. This is why people don't like parry, because number one, you do not know what skills you can or cannot parry. Number two, you do not know if you're on a cooldown to parry or not. And then on top of that, it slows the game down to a crawl, making it more defensive than action-oriented. So honestly, in my opinion, get rid of the parry. The other bit of feedback are players who don't want to enter melee range at all. Oh, true. While the primary role of the class is incentivizing a ranged melee hybrid playstyle, we do think we can improve upon this type of gameplay somewhat while incentivizing using both types of attacks. Here's how it should work, because what you guys are trying to figure out is, how do we get people to go into melee and then go into range? It's very simple. Melee skills, as the actual Huntress, should give you high risk, high reward, because you're going in to the melee range. When you disengage, it should give you the ability to either slow enemies down, blind them directly, or give you the ability to reduce the risk as you go into melee range. So you can either open up with a melee attack to then have better evasion, to blind the enemy, to slow them down, to provide some sort of debuff on top of them, to then jump into melee range using either Rake or any other skill like that, do your combo, pop off big damage, and then disengage back out so that you can go ahead and use your range attack to slow them or debuff them, and then provide the combo that way. At the same time, you should be able to gain frenzy charges not by parrying, but by doing that combination of attacks and skills to then have your final attack or your next debuff attack provide a bigger debuff overall, creating a chain of attacks consistently. How is this so hard to understand? It's almost like you don't play your game, but let's continue. To make this type of gameplay feel better, we're going to be buffing the speed of spear throws generally, but especially lightning spear. The damage will remain the same. Okay. So 0, meaning that you will get approximately 25% buff to DPS from using only lightning spear. You're just going to make it faster. So you're going to make me cast a skill faster to do more damage, but I'm not doing any damage with lightning spear at all. So awesome. Some other spear throws will receive slight speed increases too, but they generally have other mechanics that mean that attack speed on them is less relevant. Okay, so make it go faster, but you're still doing 0 damage as you're going faster. Awesome. 100% increased speed times 0 damage is going to be 0 damage. How fast you make it doesn't make sense. It's about the amount of damage you do as you're doing the skill. Player minion and damage life. One of the areas of major balance adjustments in 0.2.0 was the minion life and damage curves for players. In the 0.1.1 endgame, minion characters were getting very out of control values due to being able to significantly increase gem level on these gems. We previously significantly reduced the growth of minion life and damage as these gem gain levels, and the intention was to mostly hit the top of the endgame, but it seems that this has had an unintended effect on the campaign play as well, basically signifying you didn't play the game before you made the change, or even after you made the change. You guys aren't play testing your game. You're making these changes and thinking they're great without going back and testing what you're doing. We are making a change to increase the damage and life that minions get during the campaign to be more similar to before, while still keeping the scaling nerfs that were introduced to higher minion gem levels for the end game. So you didn't play your campaign. That's what you're saying. You didn't play the campaign with any classes you were doing any testing or nerfing. Monster life too high. One of the first things we looked at when considering clear speed concerns was the monster life curve. We found that the monster life through most of the campaign after Act 1 was probably too high. I'm telling you guys, I want to see Mark and Jonathan stream themselves playing the game. Campaign, level 1 character from beginning to endgame. I want to see them stream it because they don't play it. We have made an adjustment to lower monster life by 25% through most of the campaign, and this change has been deployed already. Yeah, because you knew you messed up. A second issue we found was that life bonuses on rare minions was incredibly high. You think? One of the reasons why this feels particularly bad is because these monsters are still white, but had more life than blue monsters. This calibrates players' expectations incorrectly and makes rare fights harder than they should be. Yes, it's almost like you're trying to fight a boss when you're fighting a rare. This number has been set back to what it was in 0.1.0, which lowers rare minion life by about 60%. This change has also been deployed. You don't play your game. You don't play your game. Large area sizes. Many players are reporting that areas feel like they are too large, because they are. Normally when this is the case, the main reason is due to other concerns such as monster life or player damage being incorrect, or just a lack of entertaining content in the area. Did I read that right? Normally when this is the case, the main reason is due to other concerns such as monster life or player damage being incorrect, or just a lack of entertaining content in the area. Am I being fucking gaslit right now? Is this real? Is this real? Is this why when I'm playing the game and I backtrack, the monsters are still respawning in the campaign and in the acts or the zones? Is that what you guys think? You guys think that the main reason is because of monster life, player damage, or entertaining content? Maybe it's not the fact that the actual maps and zones are too big. If you would just reduce the zone by like 30% or not make every single zone a maze, this complaint would be gone and no one would feel this way. It's not about player damage or entertaining content or monster life being too high. If that was the case, then you guys still having enemies respawn in the zones would have fixed the problem, but it doesn't. However, we are checking to see if there are any outliers that players are spending too long in to see if any changes to area size need to happen. You guys, GGG is cooked. They're cooked. They're absolutely cooked. They're 100% cooked. I don't, where is Chris? Why did Chris, this is why Chris left. This is why Chris left. In the meantime, we did notice that there are some areas that don't have sufficient checkpoints. So we're doing a pass of adding some more of these. We're going to add more checkpoints. You know what would be great if you want to add checkpoints? I can checkpoint to a checkpoint without having to be at a checkpoint. How's that? It's almost like if I can just open the map of the zone, I should be able to click on any checkpoint and just be there. How about you do that if you don't want to reduce the map size? Because I should just be able to be in one corner of the map, not have to backtrack through 3/4 of it to get to a checkpoint to get to the other side that I want to get to. Let me just checkpoint to any checkpoint if I've already found it, regardless of whatever spot I am in the map, if you think that it's player damage or monster life. Okay. This is the worst. Okay. You guys are cooked. Crashes and disconnects. On launch day, we had a severe and common client crash in town. That failed to deserialize object crash. This was fixed on the first day, which was fine. They fixed it, but there are still other client server crashes that remain. This is normal, right? This happens on every game regardless, but they're fixing it and they did it quickly, so that was good. Currently, the number of client crashes is actually a bit lower than 0.1.1 due to working around somewhat common NVIDIA driver crash, but the rate of server-side crashes is approximately 6 times higher, which results in you getting substantially disconnected. At least they fixed it. Thankfully, server-side crashes are significantly easier to debug, and we believe that we should be able to resolve most of these in the next few days. Fine. That's fine too. Like that happens to everybody, right? Quality of life features. We're working on a few extra features that should be released relatively soon. The first one is adding a system for bookmarking locations on your Atlas map. This system will allow you to save locations with the name of the Atlas so you can find them later. How about, instead of doing that, help me zoom out of the Atlas even more, and then let me put pins in the map that I can just pin to directly and just jump to if I think an area is actually kind of cool, instead of bookmarking locations. Or let me have a search tab inside the Atlas so I can search Breach, or I can search Ritual, and then I can just go to those maps that have it and I can just click through next and be fine there. The problem is you guys made an ever-expanding Atlas, and that's how you're trying to juice everything. So I should be able to search for specific things, or not bookmark, but pin things, and then just go to the pins in the top of the map. Also, I don't know if I'm missing this, but there should be a home button pin that should just take me back to the main location so I can put all the stuff into that little spot where I can do the bosses. And I can just go into that portal right there instead of having to scroll all the way back and do that. I guess maybe I'm missing it. I don't know. I am a bit, on the Spectrum side, so maybe that's probably what it is. But if I'm missing it, let me know in the comment section. But I haven't seen it in 400 hours of play. Another is adding stash tab affinities for more item types, including socketables and tablets, and updating the flask affinity to include charms. There should also be a breach tab, expedition tab, and every other mechanic should have its own tab. And another is adding a new way to rebind specters and tame beasts so that you can experiment with these options more easily. There's no reason to experiment. You just want haste aura and attack. That's really what it is. Rue is a cat. True. I feel like GGG doesn't understand what they want to do in this game. And I feel like what they're trying to do with their vision is literally up against exactly what an ARPG should be. Path of Exile 2 should not have been an action role-playing game. It should have just been a third-person, over-the-shoulder action game that you play with RPG mechanics or elements. Like that. They should have just made Elden Ring or Dark Souls a whole different kind of game and kept PoE 1 as is. Because juicing doesn't feel good with endgame progression and maps. A lot of the other mechanics don't feel good as well, even with the stuff happening now. I'm playing endgame on my Merc, and it doesn't feel good at all. There's just so many things wrong with this game, and they have two different ideas of what they want the game to be. Either they're trying to slow the player down to a crawl, and they're not giving the player the space, the breathing room, and the ability to actually go through and do those mechanics against enemies and bosses while trying to swarm you with enemies as you're progressing through the map. They're not wanting to reduce the size of the map without increasing player speed. The fact that 30% on boots is a required affix, because if that affix on boots is not there, it's a dead pair of boots. They need to increase the player speed normally by 30% if they want us to do these kinds of things, and they don't want to reduce the player monster speed or reduce the size of the map in general. Like, just flat out, that's really what it should be. Stop trying to do a generator spender. This is Diablo 4. This is Diablo 3. You're trying to make us be defensive, generate a frenzy charge, then do a combo to spend the frenzy charge. You know why people don't like Diablo 4? Because it's a generator spender. No one wants to do regular attacks to generate mana to then do the spending attack. That's why Diablo 4 is bad. That's why D4 bad. You guys are falling into the same traps and pits that D4 had. Still has. Doesn't want to fix. You're not playing your own game. You don't have any idea why people are upset, and you're trying to stick to your guns on this, and it's not working. PoE 2 cannot be this. If this is the vision for PoE 2, and this is what 1.0 looks like, I have a feeling a lot of people are going to be quitting this game for others or just going back to PoE 1. You guys are literally killing your own game because you don't have a clear vision of what you want it to be. So again, like I said yesterday, stream yourselves playing the game, because clearly you're not playing your own game. Because if you were, you would understand the frustrations of players and what we're seeing right now and the feedback that we're giving you. So I want to see it. I want Mark and Jonathan to play their own game, because you damn well know Chris played his own game. So ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you guys think about what GGG is working on in the comment section down below. If you want to see more of this kind of content, subscribe to the channel. We're on our way to 3,000 subs, and I just want to say thank you guys so very much. There is going to be more PoE content, well, PoE 1 specifically, until PoE 2 gets fixed. We'll be watching some updates on this, more Last Epoch content, D4 content, and maybe even some other ARPGs as well. There's one that I wanted to take a look at. It was actually pretty cool. It was called Tower of Kalimanvo. It's like a D1 successor, spiritual successor, which I think is going to be kind of neat to look at and check out as well. So subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.